You know what? When I connected to the Sentry, I didn't connect to your Sentry. Like that says Herb's Sentry.
Right.
Is that yours?
No, mine is...
Don't have to worry, it'll come up.
There's some random number.
Okay.
I can...
09 Echo Delta.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
Want to run up? Ready for the control check whenever you are.
Okay. Now it picked up him. It says Bay Flight 21. So far it's picked up the wrong airplane twice. Oh, the reason it's not picking us up is you don't have the nav lights on. So we're not transmitting our ADSB out.
Zulu, taxi to Lima. That's 879 Hotel Zulu, Balto ground, taxi via Zulu, Yankee 1 and Lima. Zulu, Yankee 1 and Lima.
1800 RPM. Left mag. Load. Right mag. Load. Oil flow positive. Fuel flow positive. Oil temperature pressure green. Vacuum is green. Amp meter good. And going back to idle.
And now it says detected 894 Sierra Papa.
It's still.
Oh, it says Sierra Alpha.
Right.
It's still the wrong airplane. Unbelievable. That's funny.
And ground, just to confirm for 9 Hotel Zulu, it's Yankee 1 Lima, right? That's a 9 Hotel Zulu, from continue taxi in, and you want to go to Lima, correct? Yeah, that's right, Lima. I was unsure about Yankee 1. Yankee 1's going to be right up there after the dash line, just turn right there, and then straight ahead to Lima. Okay, thank you, 9 Hotel Zulu. No problem, good day. Hello to ground, Diamond Star 4 Sierra Alpha, run up complete. Diamond Star 4 Sierra Alpha, give way to Cessna Alpha Yankee 1, they're going to Lima Row. After them, hold short Yankee 1, contact tower. Give way to Cessna, then hold short Yankee 1, then contact tower 4 Sierra Alpha.
This is altitude, so if I want to turn off squawking altitude,
You'd put it to on. That would turn off altitude. You see it turn that off. It normally doesn't do that, but that's something that this transponder does. Test just shows all the display elements.
Standby is
standby nothing.
Okay, off.
So on would be no altitude. Right. Standby would be don't transmit at all.
And then what is off? Off is off.
It turns it off.
But then standby versus off?
Standby is warmed up, ready to go.
Okay. This thing takes time.
Yeah, it actually, now that you've turned it off,
well,
all these things require a certain amount of stability,
right.
And it's temperature sensitive.
Right.
So there's actually a heater that heats up some of the circuits, and only when it detects is it warm enough does it start working. So standby lets it warm up. On, a test shows you the display, right? See all the elements are lit up.
Right.
You can see if any parts of it's burned out. On sends a transponder reply without altitude. Altitude adds the altitude output.
Got it. Okay. All right. So I have strobe. Actually, I have all the lights on except the landing and taxi.
Okay.
Origin points. Again, we are on runway 31 here.
Zulu taxi to cables. That's a 085 Apollo 2 ground taxi via Zulu Yankee 2. Suggest Juliet. Zulu Yankee 2 Juliet 085.
Okay, so we are on runway 31, we start rotating at 55. If we are not in the air by the second taxiway, we abort the takeoff. If the engine fails while we are on the runway, we land straight ahead. If the engine fails Well, if the engine fails, if while the runway is remaining, we land straight ahead. If the engine fails after that, we're going.
Now it shows us 4 Sierra Papa.
What did you change?
Sorry?
What did you change? Nothing?
You turned that on.
That's it?
And it took a moment for it to...
And then that guy is in the air already.
Right, so it doesn't see him anymore.
Right, okay. So that's our decision points, board procedures, reviewing airspeed numbers. So VR 55, VX 62, VY 74, best glide 68. And we are ready to...
Okay.
Follow to ground, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, run up complete.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, hold short, Yankee 1, contact tower.
Hold short, Yankee 1, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa. Palo Alto's tower, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, holding short, Yankee 1.
Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, Palo Alto Tower, pull up to, hold short, runway 31, traffic landing.
So there's the movement area line.
Hold short, runway 31, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa. Yes, I noticed that. So it's...
And the hold short line you can see is at the edge of the taxiway, not in the middle, but because that distance is so small.
Right.
Bay Flight 21, can we go straight out to San Carlos? Bay Flight 21, straight out approved. Traffic ahead to your left, altitude indicates 900. Diamond Star is also flying towards San Carlos, transitioning. Frequency change approved. Traffic in sight, frequency change approved, Bay Flight 21. Palo Alto Tower, stationer 206, Hotel Golf, approaching Leslie Salt, 1,900, descending, landing with uniform, full stop. Stationer 206, Hotel Golf, Palo Alto Tower, enter midfield, right downwind, runway 31. Enter midfield, right downwind, 31, 206, Hotel Golf.
So now we're getting this out of your Sentry.
Right.
I actually told it to calibrate. It's supposed to do an auto-calibrate. It needed a little tweak.
Right.
So it's showing us pitch, and if it knew we were pointing this way, it would show him as traffic, which we will see shortly once we're in flight. There it goes, see that?
Right.
It was a little behind. And it's really amazing that a $200 annual subscription piece of software plus an $800 device gives us a similar information.
Runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 31, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
Cessna 646, runway 31, text back.
Gives us similar information to a $60,000 panel-mounted piece of equipment.
Right. Positive 560.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, right crosswind at the train bridge.
Crossing at the train bridge, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa.
Stationer 6 Hotel Golf, runway 31, clear to land. Clear to land 31, 206 Hotel Golf.
That's another thing. Like when I'm doing maneuvers on the flight test or face check, do I have to explain what I'm doing?
No. You don't have to teach it. You don't have to explain it. The only thing that you need to do is that you want to do is make a show of using your checklists so that they know that you're using checklists, and you don't even have to call it out. You do this and and say, okay.
Number 2, clear for the option. We have the traffic in sight runway 31, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
Cessna 646, no delay, traffic right base stationary.
No delay.
If you hold it up and say, okay, cruise checklist complete,
Right.
Simply looking at it should be enough, but it's very nice for you to say which checklist you've completed, and then you're demonstrating you're using checklists. But you don't have to.
Right, so 1 mile, 800 feet below is this guy. There's one person on the final. Can you take the airplane for 1 second?
I have the aircraft.
Okay, yes. Okay, my airplane.
You have the controls.
Thank you. Landing check. Gas.
Stationary 6 Hotel Golf, on Zulu, contact ground. On Zulu, over to ground 206 Hotel Golf, good night.
One, two, three. One, two, three. Okay.
Cessna 646, number 2, follow Cessna, right base, runway 31, clear for the option.
Number 2, runway 31, clear for the option. 2 forward. This is similar to what happened the other day.
So what do you want to do?
Well, just lay my flaps.
No, add power. Even a little more. Power is going to give you the biggest change in glide slope or in altitude. You're white, right?
the options, runway 31, Cessna 40 Papa. Tailwind.
Yep.
There's
About 6 knots.
knots.
Yeah.
Yes.
6, 7 knots up here. And that's what we would have expected from the winds aloft forecast.
Right.
Cessna 646, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Runway 31, clear for takeoff. So when I add power like that, when do I bring in my flaps?
When you're in the normal position.
Like right now.
Yeah, you could go, yeah, that'd be fine, and then you can bring the power, well, the power is pretty much where you need it to be, maybe just a little bit high, and a little bit would maybe be 100 RPM at most, and now we're totally normal.
Follow the tower. We'd like to request flight good signals if able on final, please.
Cessna 646, on request.
But normally, most sources say once you've committed to flaps, you don't raise.
Cessna, head to your right, the right down.
40 Papa, traffic inside.
Cessna 646, runway 31, clear for the option.
A lot of sources suggest that on your landing, once you put flaps down, you don't put them back up again, unless you're going around. Now that's an
Number 2,
overstatement.
clear for the options, Cessna 494 Papa.
That's an overstatement. The concern is if somebody's really slow and they raise the flaps that they could stall. That just doesn't happen. Because if you raise the flaps, the stall angle of attack actually increases. What happens is you get a loss of lift and the airplane starts to descend. But if you are feeling low, the first thing to do is to add power. And if you realize, gee, I put flaps in way too early, then you could reduce the flaps a little.
Landing check.
You know, if you went to full flaps too early and we were way out there with full flaps, you could apply enough power to climb even or hold altitude more easily and join the glide slope. And dragging the airplane in with lots of power against full flaps is inelegant,
Right.
but it works.
Right.
See how you're 5 gallons lower on the left than the right?
Right.
Totally normal.
Okay.
Burning base.
Alpha Tower, Cessna 1158 Victor, over Lake Elizabeth, inbound full stop with uniform. Cessna 1158 Victor, Alpha Tower, possible traffic just behind and to your left, altitude indicates 3,800 westbound. Midfield right downwind, runway 31. Midfield right downwind, 31, 115 Victor. 1158 Victor, IDAN, verify information uniform. Affirmative, we have uniform, 1158 Victor.
Take it to the left, signals we shoot.
Calling tower second.
Apollo to Tower Cessna 646, terminating.
Cessna 646, taxi Zulu, correction, contact ground.
Contact ground 646, thank you.
That much pitch attitude you don't really need to go to. I was pretty, kind of an overflare a little bit.
Okay.
You're holding power a little longer than you need to on final. When the berm goes below the nose, you can be pulling the power back.
Okay.
And you're holding it till we're actually almost over the runway, so we're landing longer than we need to.
Right.
Victor, number 2, follow Cessna, turning right, crosswind to right downwind to beam the 13 numbers, runway 31, clear to land. 31, clear to land, number 2, 1158 Victor. Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, runway 31, clear for the option.
4 Sierra Papa, clear for the option, Cessna, runway 31.
Medevac helicopter Stanford 1 is just getting airborne from the hospital, departing southeastbound, negative distance. Stanford 1, Delta Tower departure from Stanford at your own risk, Delta altitude 2994. 2994, negative.
Just by doing that, the examiner knows you've done a pre-landing check.
Okay.
You should
Traffic to follow, and the right downwind is the Puna Tower.
you should say to him, seatbelts on, and get a response.
Alpha Tower, Cirrus 545 Bravo Bravo, 7 miles north for landing with uniform.
Cirrus 545 Bravo Bravo, Apollo to Tower, enter right downwind, runway 31.
Right downwind 31, Bravo Bravo.
You heard that call? It's erroneous. I think your Sentry's having trouble seeing the GPS satellites from where it's mounted on the window.
Traffic site 1158 Victor.
Nose down a little, you're getting slow, and then power off. The berm's below the nose. Now nose is a little high, so you're losing speed too early. This is where we're getting very slow.
Straight in, runway 31, number 2, following Cessna, right base to mile and a half final.
Oh, I see the problem.
Runway 31, clear to land.
You were doing this. You're craning your neck to see over the windshield.
Yeah.
We should be looking there. That's the problem.
Yep.
This is why we're flying today. Bad habits creep in.
Right.
And like, why is he flaring so hard? Oh, you're looking over the nose.
And I think I'm coming in slow, am I?
Yep.
Train bridge.
Extend upwind, Cessna 40 Papa.
Cirrus 5 Bravo Bravo, number 3,
And then when you,
theater on final, wind.
like I see when you come in slow, like you can just drop like a rock.
Yeah, you don't have enough energy. I mean, why do we come in at 65? It's to have enough kinetic energy
Right.
to turn that into lift to arrest the descent and then be at a reasonable speed to have time to round out and flare. The slower you get, the less extra energy you have.
Right.
So when we're doing a short field landing, which we haven't talked about yet, you come in at 61, which makes the round out and flare much more time critical.
Cirrus 5 Bravo Bravo, tighten up the downwind to not extend across Moffitt's departure corridor. Your traffic to follow is passing a beam. You at a mile and a half final.
Bravo Bravo, look at the traffic. Bravo Bravo, traffic sight.
Cessna 58 Victor, taxi ramp Zulu, right turn Yankee 2. Suggest Juliet monitor me on ground frequency. Good night.
Zulu Yankee 2, Juliet, monitor you, 115 Victor. Thank you.
Palo Alto Tower, experimental 291 Delta Romeo, holding short 31. Experimental 291 Delta Romeo, Palo Alto Tower, continue holding short of runway 31 to arrivals.
Holding short 31 for 2 arrivals, 291 Delta Romeo.
The 4-Sierra Papa, extend down, I'll call your base for departure ahead of you.
You'll call my base, Cessna 40 Papa. 1 o'clock is the guy on the runway.
Well, 12 o'clock, 2 miles, right? So that's somebody out there.
Suggest Juliet monitor me on ground frequency. Good night.
Juliet will monitor you on ground frequency 6 Charlie Sierra.
I don't see any traffic out there, so I think it's that guy.
Right there.
Did he give us an extension? Okay.
Sirius 5 Bravo right, taxi ram Zulu, right turn Yankee 1 left on.
What I prefer to have
Your spot on Yankee 2.
is that. Because that shows you all the airspace. That's what's important.
Ground 5 Bravo.
Access to 4 Sierra Papa, turn base, runway 31 clear for the option. Experimental will depart ahead of you, wind 320 at 4.
Turning base, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa.
Experimental 1 Delta Romeo, left on Barton, wind 320 at 4, runway 31 clear for takeoff. Clear for takeoff 31, left turn out to 91 Delta Romeo.
I reduced power and I put it back.
And that's fine. Yes, that's what I talked about. It's not like you can't do that. You made an error, you realized it, you fixed it.
Right.
Fine.
On the glide slope but high. Well, on the glide slope but fast.
But not by much, right? You know, don't need an excessive precision. Plus or minus a couple knots is very good. So we're at 20 flaps now. Yeah, there's your power reduction. And nominally, you know, you'd like to get the full flaps out a little further out or a little higher. So that's a big power reduction. And so push the power back up to 1350, 1400. And when we start to look like we're too high, go to 30 flaps. That's a little earlier than I would have gone, but it's fine. So now get onto your speed for 30 flaps, which is 65. Just nose up a little bit, trim up a little bit, so it stays right there, and that's close enough. And now, see we're 30 flaps higher, and you see the berm is moving down, but not by a lot. So our aim point's pretty close to the berm.
Yeah.
You really didn't need to adjust power, but it's fine. Now the berm's going below the nose. Power off, let the nose come down. Let it come down. So we maintain speed. That's why you were getting slow. And now we got plenty of energy to round out and flare. Remember to look off to the side a little bit. Isn't that better?
Yeah, it's still not the A game.
And I can see why, because the little stuff has crept in. So I wanted to let you go around a few times before I started saying stuff.
Right.
Now I'll say stuff. Interesting.
One thing for sure, I'm not so super settled with the iPad on my lap.
Oh, about that.
Right.
The extra workload is a little distracting. Who would have thunk?
Well,
Huh.
not the workload, it's just that,
It's distracting.
right. So the iPad is not tied to my thigh, and which makes it like move a little bit. Like it's tied to this thing here, but it's not tied to my thigh.
So
Which is sort of a little bit distracting.
throttle back. Well, so the problem with tying it to yourself is that if it gets in the way of the controls, you can't get it out of the way easily.
Right.
So, which is why my clipboard, if you look over here, has these anti-skid lines on it.
Right.
I don't strap it to me, it just doesn't slip much. That's not going to slip much, it's just a little distracting. So it's just going to require a little getting used to.
Tower, Matrix 2304 Delta, South File inbound with uniform.
Matrix 2304 Delta, Pops Tower, make right traffic, runway 31. Your number 2 following a Cessna, midfield right downwind.
Traffic 31, 230 Delta.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, number 1, wind 320 at 5, runway 31, clear for the option.
Clear for the options, number 1, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
So remember when you go power off, you want to let the nose come down a little bit and just trim up a small amount to maintain speed.
Right.
You're pretty much, what you're doing is you're throttling back and you're holding the nose to the same pitch attitude, which is going to make you slow.
Right.
So it has to come down a little bit when you pull the power off, but just a little up trim to keep the speed there, so you don't get too slow.
Yep. Power.
The zen of pattern work.
Matrix 04 Delta, number 2, follow Skyhawk, turning right base, wind 320 at
Might want to use just a little more bank angle on these base, turn to base, and because you're extending a little bit because it's a really wide
And then losing
radius
altitude.
turn. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just a little bit of power. Now you're on the glide slope, you can take it back again. Up, we're just a little slow. So you might need a little power because if we push down to pick up speed, we'll go a little low. And now you could go to your 30 flat. And we need to nose down a little. Power well, we're going to wait a couple more seconds. So this one, we're low enough on the power reduction. Power off now. Just let the nose come down a little bit, and then into the arrest. And now look just a little off to the side, and that's about the flare angle you want. And see, we didn't have that really super slow landing that was a little awkward.
Strawberry 382, Mike Alpha,
Right.
Tower, make left traffic, runway 31.
Left traffic 31.
Why don't I do this? Why don't I take this away? Can you take it away?
I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna see if that makes a difference. You're okay turning right.
31, clear for the option.
Clear for the option, number 1, Cessna 40 Papa. Runway 31.
Stay parking.
I'd like to park on the fence. Oh, I guess the transient is open now, right? 230 for Delta in front of the terminal.
Matrix 04 Delta, I believe they're starting to move some of the construction lines there. I can't speak to what's fully available, but if you'd like to go on the terminal side of Yankee, I can get you going down that way, and if you need something else, just let me know.
Yeah, terminal side of Yankee is perfect, thanks. 230 for Delta.
Matrix 04 Roger, taxi ramp Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, suggest left on Yankee terminal side, monitor me on 125.0, and if you need to reposition pack on Yankee pass there, just let me know and I'll see what I can do for you.
Okay, Yankee 2, Yankee 100 25.
Outgoing. Keep my base back.
Good evening, pilot to tower, Skyline 6020 Kilo on the practice RNAV 31, just inside ACOS with uniform, full stop.
Skyline 6020 Kilo, Pato Tower, continue the approach.
20 Kilo, continue.
Tabria 2 Mike Alpha, number 2, follow Cessna, half mile final, wind 320 at 7, runway 31, clear to land.
Clear to land 31, number 2 Mike Alpha.
Follow Pato Tower, 6129 Charlie, 2200 on the base tour.
Cessna 2129 Charlie, Pato Tower, transition approved, Palo Alto altimeter 295.
Transition approved and copy altimeter is 29 Charlie.
So power can go off, let the nose come down a little bit to maintain speed. That's about it. Look a little bit off to the side, just want to be a little pitch positive. That's working better. So were you looking over the nose or you're looking left?
I was doing both. But yeah.
Once I transition to the side, I don't typically go back over the nose anymore because I'm not getting any additional information there.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, extend up one auto bridge.
Extend up 1 to auto bridge. 4 Sierra Papa.
Charlie, traffic off your left, 2 miles maneuvering out indicates 1,000, possibly a Cessna.
Hey, we're looking at Charlie.
Cessna 29 Charlie, contact San Carlos Tower, 119.0,
119.0, we'll tell them about the traffic, 29 Charlie, YouTube.
Attentional aircraft, pilot to town information, Victor, current wind 320 at 7, altimeter 2995, runway 31 in use, hazardous weather information available, flight service frequencies, use caution for birds, information, Victor.
I just want to see something here.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, right cross when approved.
I'll get it. 4 Sierra Papa, right crosswind.
Skyline 20 Kilo,
Now, I just unplugged your mic. We're hearing a lot of noise, and I wanted to see if it's coming from your mic. So I'll take the radio for the next couple of moments to see if that deals with that problem. So I'll hear you just by your yelling. You were hearing all that little scratchiness too? Okay. Yeah, it seems to have gone away. see if it comes back. Say hello.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, you're back.
Okay. Want me to take a radio now?
You can take the radio now.
Number 2, follow Skylane, 1.5 miles, GPS final, wind 320 at 7, runway 31, clear for the option.
Number 2, clear for the options, we're looking for the traffic.
Starbreeze 2, Mike Alpha, tax ram, Zulu.
Yep, that's where he
Give
should
on the
be.
final.
Yep.
Monitoring on ground frequency, good night.
You can see how well the landing light helps us see him, right?
Right. And from that standpoint, like looking at traffic in the night is easier than in the day.
Yes, it is. As long as their lights are on.
Right.
Alto Tower, Cessna 172 Echo Lima, approaching the station 2000, inbound with Victor.
Cessna 172 Echo Lima, Alto Tower, make left.
On one particularly clear night, I was coming up from Southern California, and I see a light in the distance sort of scintillating a little.
Right.
And I asked ATC, you got traffic at my 12 o'clock? And he says, no. I said, how about look a little further out? He says, well, I got a guy about 80 miles out.
Traffic 2 moving 1 o'clock, 4 miles, altitude indicates 2,600, Pilatus descending for San Carlos.
Roger, make left.
And I said to him, is he on frequency? He says, yeah. I said, could you have him turn his light off for a moment? It goes away. 80 miles. Yeah, landing lights are good for traffic awareness. And once you have those LED lights, their life is essentially independent of how long you have them on. So there's and they only use like 1 amp. They're 10 watts, so actually it's a half an amp.
Traffic just crossed in front of you, moving to your 11 o'clock, 1.5 miles, 2,100 should be no factor.
Traffic inside 172 Echo Lima, can I request the option for short approach?
Cessna 2 Echo Lima on request, and just to verify, you're requesting both a short approach and then right close traffic on the go?
Yeah, right close traffic on the go, and yes, we would like the short approach if possible. 72 Echo Lima.
Cessna 2 Echo Lima, you can expect that.
And Tower, Chancellor 414 Whiskey Juliet, checking in inbound with uniform.
Chancellor 414 Whiskey Juliet, Pops Tower, flight direct midfield, enter right downwind, runway 31.
Direct to the midfield for the right downwind, 31, Whiskey Juliet.
Skyline 20 Kilo, search taxi Zulu, and say parking.
Parking in Rural Quebec by the pumping station, 20 Kilo.
Taxi Roger, continue the ramp via right turn Yankee 2, suggest Juliet, monitor.
Right there, you stayed right on speed.
Juliet and monitor ground 602 Kilos, yeah. Hello, the tower, Cirrus 88 Papa Mike, 10 miles northeast, landing with Victor.
Cirrus 881 Papa Mike, Palo Alto Tower, make right traffic, runway 31.
Right traffic 31, 1 Papa Mike.
Cessna 2 Echo Lima, short approach approved, wind 320 at 8, runway 31, clear for the option, on the go, make right close traffic.
Right close traffic.
I'll tell you why I did that in a second.
Group 72.
I was distracted.
Okay.
Extend up onto the train bridge.
Extend upwind to the train bridge. 40 Papa.
Cirrus 1 Papa Mike for
So as the flaps came up, we started to pitch down, and you didn't catch it. So we were about to descend onto the nose wheel.
Right.
Cessna, the train bridge, 1 Papa Mike, slowing down.
And why were you distracted?
Why was I? I was looking at something inside where I should be looking at outside.
Exactly right. On the go around, it's looking out the window, make sure you got positive pitch until you're absolutely not going to touch the terrain again.
Right.
31, number 2, looking for that traffic, 4 Whiskey Juliet.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, right crosswind approved, as you turn crossing, I see a Chancellor off your right, joining midfield right down when you'll be following them.
Got him, in sight.
Traffic inside. 40 Papa, turning crosswind.
Cirrus 1 Papa Mike, you're Trevor to follow. Turning right crosswind now, just inside the train bridge.
It occurred to me, I turned off your iPad. If I leave it on,
Close in left base over the water treatment plant. Altitude indicates 500.
Whiskey Juliet, thank you.
I can.
you want to get it back into fourth flight?
Delta Tower, Cirrus 532, Papa Golf, on for landing with
Fly the airplane first.
532 Papa Golf, Delta Tower, begin reducing speed for sequence.
Get into the passcode screen. So there'll be a password screen. Can you get there?
Didn't like me here. There it is. Okay.
We have traffic downwind, 1 Papa Mike.
Cheers, 1 Papa Mike.
So it should start. You should start hearing the call-outs again.
There's a guy ahead of us.
Okay. I see him.
320 at 7, runway 31, clear for the option.
I think that was for 494 Sierra Papa. We have the Chancellor, number 231, cleared for the option. Down over there. Okay, good.
There's one more on the downwind.
No, I think that guy's not our guy. Our guy's turning final. He's right.
To Echo Lima, extend upwind to the auto bridge for sequence, and if you'd like a short approach, let me know. You might need a 360 on top of that.
Yes, please. I would like a short approach, and I'll extend to the outer bridge. To Echo Lima.
Yeah, he's the only guy ahead of us, so you can throttle back and start descending.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa for sequence. When you're able, please turn right base.
Turning right base, 4 Sierra Papa.
Cirrus 1 Papa Mike, number 2, final Cessna, turning right base. You're inside of another Cirrus on a 4.5-mile final. Wind 320 at 7, runway 31, clear to land.
Number 2, 31, clear to land, and we have the Cessna in sight. 1 Papa Mike.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, will this be a touch and go?
Affirmative, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa.
Cirrus 1 Papa Mike, the Cessna ahead of you will be a touch and go.
1 Papa Mike.
Chancellor 4 Ski, you can start your taxi down Zulu, say parking.
The terminal end of Sierra Row next to the Kodiak Whiskey Juliet.
Chancellor 4 Ski, thank you. Taxi ramp Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, so just left on Yankee terminal side. Monitor me on ground frequency. Good night.
Hey Zulu, Yankee 2, Yankee terminal side, and we'll monitor ground. Thank you. Good night. Whiskey Juliet.
Cirrus 1 Papa Mike for sequence, turn base when able.
Turning base.
Cirrus 2 Papa Golf, number 3, follow a Cirrus 2.5 miles ahead, turning right base, wind 320 at 7, number 3, runway 31, clear to land.
Number 3, clear to land to Papa Golf.
Station Victor, time 0147 Zulu, wind 320 at 7, visibility 10, sky condition 20.
Julia, could you turn off your landing lights? Thank you.
I didn't think about it.
I do.
Cessna 2 Echo Lima, you're number 3, following a Cirrus on a 2-mile final. For spacing for short approach, when midfield, make a left 360.
Left 360 at midfield.
So now it's just forward look, positive pitch, maintain that till we're safely in the air, not going to touch the ground, and then you can do something else.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, extend upwind, I'll call your crosswind turn.
You'll call my crosswind, Cessna 4 Sierra Papa. Did we do few short approaches?
Yeah, we can do a couple. It's getting a little dark, which makes that more difficult, but Happy to do that.
That was some good pattern work, sir. Or spacing.
Last calling tower, say again.
Complimenting you on your spacing. One Papa Mike taxiing to advantage parking.
There's one Papa Mike, taxi from Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, suggest Juliet, monitor ground, good night.
Alright, monitor ground, one Papa Mike.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, right crosswind approved. As you turn crosswind, you'll see a Cessna joining midfield right down. We'll be making a short approach. You'll be following them. Currently, you're number 3.
Number 3, looking for traffic, 4 Sierra Papa.
Cessna 2 Echo Lima, you're number 2, following a Cirrus short final approaching the pond. Short approach approved. Wind 320 at 8, runway 31, clear for the option.
Number 2, runway 31 for short approach, clear for the option. 172 Echo Lima.
Cessna 4 Sierra Pop, driver to follows just slightly outside of you, completing the 360 in midfield. Do you have them inside?
Oh, yeah.
A
Yeah.
little bit to the left.
Where's Sierra Papa? Yeah, we're going to make a left S-turn to stay behind him.
Cessna 2 Echo Lima, you can tighten up the downwind turn traffic in the right crosswind.
That's impressive, huh?
Landing's going to follow you. You're number 1 now.
Yeah.
And now we can turn back.
Back?
We can turn back the other way. So that's...
Thanks for help. You can maneuver as necessary to follow. Number 2, wind 320 at 8, runway 31, clear for the option.
What's number 2?
Where's Sierra Papa? Roger will maneuver to follow 2 Echo Lima, 31 cleared for the option.
There's 2 Papa Golf, taxi ram Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, suggest Juliet, monitor.
So that's 2 Echo Lima?
Yep.
Juliet, one
Okay.
Papa Golf, good night.
And that's not the aircraft which was coming at us, right?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought this guy was too fast.
Oh, there's his wake, huh?
Uh-huh.
You don't really have to respond to that when that happens.
Right.
When you did, you nailed my hand with the yoke.
Sorry.
That's all right. Like, didn't have to do that. So we're fairly far out here. See, look at the runway. So, yeah, we really can't do a power off from here because
Yeah.
he's too far out.
Right. We'll make this
But-
one as a normal.
We could either do a normal or we could just wait a little bit on the power and you can let me know. Do you think you can make it power off from here? All right, so go power off and turn, and we have plenty of spacing, so turn base whenever you think you need to turn base. Don't go too far because we're pretty wide, right? And if you're not sure, aim for a little bit to the left of the threshold. And if we get high, we can go to full flap and slip. But if we get low, we're screwed. This is actually a good exercise. Like, well, maybe, I don't know, let's adjust to see what we need to do. Now, as I see it, it's like, hey, we're pretty good now. We can just keep going this heading. Is power all the way off? Okay, good. And we are a little high, and that's fine, but let's wait till we get to the final, because we know we can go full flaps and it'll be fine. Now you can just come a little this way. We'll join the final, so we're not too high. And that adjustment worked really well. And again, when the end of the runway is below the nose, now we can go to full flaps. That was a nice exercise. We're a little bit slow, so this is going to have to be a quick round off and flare.
Let 2 Echo Lima cross and approving expect short approach, you're number 1.
Correction number 1, and then,
Okay, that worked good.
72 Echo Lima.
There's the 4 Sierra Papa. We'd also like a short approach. We can adjust our spacing behind 2 Echo Lima to give us enough space.
4 Sierra Papa, roger. You're following the Cessna 2 Echo Lima that's ahead into your right across, and they'll also be doing a short approach. You can extend as necessary to follow and expect a short approach behind them.
Thank you, 4 Sierra Papa. So we want to go maybe 10, 15 seconds past him, and that'll give us plenty of spacing. There's pattern altitude, so throttle that.
Is it serious?
No, it's another 172. So we'll go 10 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're a little slow. Give it a few more seconds. 1, 2, 3. Now turn. And if we're doing a short approach intent, power off landing, you might want to stay flaps up.
Right.
And then a little up trim and a little less power so we don't pick up too much speed. So try 1700 RPM or maybe 1750 and nose up for altitude and turn downwind. So we're not too far out.
Skyline 6170 Sierra Papa, turning fly straight ahead and then intercept the 101 and transition along the 101. Palo Alto altimeter 2995.
2995, intercept the 101, follow the 101 southbound 720.
4 Sierra Papa, short approach approved. Your number 2 on the Cessna on short approach right base. Wind 320 at 8, runway 31, clear for the option.
Clear for the option. Number 2, we have the traffic inside 4 Sierra Papa.
This is going to be just fine. Great spacing.
Hold the tower, so 513 Papa Zulu, Sunol, landing with Victor.
Cheers, 513 Papa Zulu, Papa Tower, fly direct midfield, enter right downwind, runway 31.
Right, direct midfield, right downwind for 31, 3 Papa Zulu.
Lots of spacing. So let's make the Pappy Light our target landing point, and it's right next to the windsock, which we're going to pass in 3 seconds. 1001, 2, 3. You can go power off. You are angled in a little bit, so you might want to turn a little bit left. And now I won't say anything.
The 2 Echo Lima, taxi back or terminate.
Terminating 2 Echo Lima.
The 2 Echo Lima, taxi ramp Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, suggested Juliet, monitor ground, good night.
Zulu Yankee 2, Juliet, and I'll monitor ground, good night, 2 Echo Lima.
Skyline 70 Sierra, contact Moffett Tower on 119.55, good night.
11955, have a good night, 720.
We're a little slow, so nose down. We'll have enough glide distance. You're looking over the nose again.
Yeah. We'll make it the last one?
Okay.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, do you want another short approach?
Yes, sir. One more.
4 Sierra Papa, roger. For aircraft inbound from the north, make left traffic this circuit.
Oh, cool.
Cross when able, and you can expect a short approach.
Okay, we'll turn in about 200 feet for a left crossing and left short approach. 4 Sierra Papa. Excellent. Cool. You get another variation.
Yep.
I like it.
Turn on 700.
Yep, and we can turn. Let's take a quick look at the runway. It looks really cool from here.
That's a 4 Sierra Papa, short approach.
And turn. Turn downwind.
Runway 31, clear for the option on the go, resume right close traffic.
Clear for the option, runway 31, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
Sierra 3 Papa Zulu, I'll call your base for sequencing.
Of course, Sierra Papa, we're planning on a full stop.
I'm fast.
Not by much. Remember, we're flaps up, so we need a little less power, like 100 RPM. So we see the red light is the windsock. We're just about to pass it.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the second one. So we're coming up on the first one.
First one, okay.
3, 2, 1. 1, power off.
Time it's 1,000.
Yeah, got to go a little further. Or flaps earlier. Either way is fine.
You want a short approach left base, wind 320 at 7, runway 31, clear to land.
31, clear to land, number 2, 3 Papa Zulu.
Turning a little early.
Yeah. Not used.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of it, right? But don't turn yet. We want to get on the final, and we're high enough. So just keep going this way till we start to get really close to the final. We're plenty high, I think. Don't want them yet, right? Want to make sure we're going to make the runway. We're looking to land at the Pappy light. So we want to see those approach lights go up nose to nose. This is a great speed for what we need. We didn't have a lot of altitude, but we're going to make it. And you could just go to 20 flaps now. And now we're going to round out and flare, nose up a little, to make the Pappy. A little bit more flare, a little bit more flare. So we landed a little short. We had plenty of energy. You could have flared more. Okay, brakes, stick all the way back. We'll make the second turn off. The arrow, you can still got another 100 feet to go. Let go of the brakes, keep going up a little more. 4 Sierra Papa, left turn on Zulu, we'll monitor ground and Juliet parking. Okay, look at the line in front of us. So you are going to turn inside the arrow.
Yeah.
Got to make sure you see the blue landing lights, taxiway lights on either side. We haven't done our dedicated night lesson yet, so not surprising. And as we roll out here, let's make sure our landing and taxi lights are off.
Are off.
Okay, good. That's probably why it was so hard to see. How did you turn them off, or they were already off?
Taxi is already, well, the landing is off already.
Okay.
I'll turn off the strobe.
Yeah, that'd be good. And we'll taxi. Well, that was great. I'm really glad we came out.
What did we get from the tower?
We can taxi. We want to get moving so that guy doesn't have to stop behind us. There's Yankee 2 Juliet.
The tower, Diamond Star 894 Sierra Alpha at 3,800, about 10 miles south. Full stop with Victor.
You hear the awe in the background? That was the KFC auto, the BFC 700 autopilot.
Sierra 3 Papa Zulu, say parking.
Romeo.
Sierra 3 Papa Zulu, taxi ramp Zulu, right turn Yankee 2, suggest Juliet to monitor ground. Good night.
right here, are we too fast?
This is fine for here. We're doing 10 knots. Look off to your side, to the left, you can see how fast we're going. And, you know, you can clearly see that it would be difficult for someone to run this fast to stay up with us. And that's the visual indication. Once we get into the parking rows, it's like, could somebody keep up with us at a jog?
Right there, sort of like I'm right now like full bridge and all the way back.
And this is okay. It should probably be just a little lower on the idle setting.
Right. So I mean, it's going slower than this is not possible without riding the brakes.
Well, then you have to do it. But if you can't, if you're already throttled all the way back, and the mixture's rich, and you have to get on the brakes, then you get on the brakes. That's fine. But if your throttle is up and you're riding the brakes, then you're making a mistake. Look out to the side. Well, that's a pretty fast walk, but it's fine. That's just about 5 knots.